UK, Bob Diamond's LIBOR manipulation headache is getting even worse. Barclays has already been slapped with a record fine. It has lost almost £4 billion in market value, and it's been vilified and humiliated by the international press in some cases. And now, Bob Diamond, has agreed to attend a hearing in Parliament in the wake of the bank's record fine for market manipulation. This, as the UK Chancellor says he has serious questions to answer.
The FSA report is a shocking indictment of the culture at banks like Barclays in the run-up to the financial crisis. The email exchanges between derivative traders and the LIBOR submitters read like an epitaph to an age of irresponsibility.
The bank stock closed down 16% in London yesterday, its biggest drop in 3 years. And the UK government is calling for a criminal probe. The CFTC says traders and managers were involved in lowering LIBOR submissions, and these are the people that will be investigated. Barclays is not alone, though. Now, 18 more banks are under investigation, including Citi, UBS, Lloyds, and Deutsche Bank. Lenders could face billions of dollars in fines in the coming months. Chris Skinner is the Chief Executive Officer at Bellatro, and he joins us now. Chris, great to have you on the show. How damaging is this for Barclays, first of all?
Well, it's a big reputational hit. It's showing that they consistently were falsifying the submissions they made to the British Bankers Association and the European Banking Association to set LIBOR and Euribor. But this was endemic across all the banks. For Barclays, it's the first out of the gate, so they're going to take the biggest reputational hit. But we're all waiting to see what the others take.
So you actually think that tactic is not going to work in its favor, the fact that it's come out and been the first to cooperate?
Well, it gives them an ability to be cooperative with the authorities and maybe have a lower fine, and it avoids having a full criminal probe. Although, having said that, now we're seeing that the UK is asking for a criminal probe into the bank, so maybe some individuals will now be taken to task, but the bank itself will not.
So is the threat in terms of this scandal, it's reputational now after the fine?
Well, the big concern, I think, now is they've got the fine, they've trying to move on, but there's going to be a lawsuit that will follow, more than likely from the US, a class action lawsuit that will take all the banks to task. And if that succeeds, the damages could be immense. And so that's what we're now waiting to see if that will be the case.
Interesting. And you think Bob Diamond should stay? Why?
Well, Diamond was leading Barclays Capital during a period where this manipulation was taking place, but the FSA, the authorities in the US Department of Justice have tried to see if he was aware of any of this manipulation taking place, and they found no evidence to show that was the case. He's also the glue in Barclays Bank, and if you take this guy out of the bank, then the whole bank could fall apart, so he needs to stay. He's
also agreed to give up his bonus. Now, what do you suggest that other banks do? Because you've got Lloyds and RBS under investigation. They, some say, look like they will almost definitely be fined as well.
Well, it's interesting that the Financial Services Authority is saying that the other banks are not being cooperative. Barclays has been cooperative. So you wonder what they're trying to hide now. What it shows is that there's a very old gentlemanly bank agreement to set these interest rates, which hasn't been conducted with gentlemanly manners, and therefore that's what the FSA, the Department of Justice, CFTC are all trying to crack down on and find out exactly what these guys were doing.
Well, you say that there's two sides to this argument. What defense do these derivatives traders or whoever this was that were setting these rates? What's their defense?
That everyone was doing it, that the BBA, the British Bankers Association that sets LIBOR, was taking an average of all of their estimates, and therefore one bank could not distort those estimates that much. But having said that, if there's only a small group of banks submitting their interest estimates, and some of them or several of them distort those estimates, then of course there's going to be an issue with the rates that are set.
I'm wondering about this fine, £290 million for Barclays. Is it safe to assume that perhaps if these other banks aren't cooperating, they may see a bigger fine?
But I don't know at the moment. I mean, it's interesting, UBS were one of the first banks to be cooperating in this case. That was a year ago when we were hearing that they were involved in LIBOR investigations and were working with the authorities. Barclays have been working with the authorities. You wonder about Citi, Deutsche, RBS and what's going to happen with them. If they're not cooperating, I can imagine they'll get much larger fines. And so maybe being first out of the gate, you get a reputational hit, but you can move on. I wonder what the others will be uncovering.
It's going to be interesting to watch it all unfold. I also wonder as well how this will affect this latest scandal. I mean, it comes after a string of scandals. We had the payment protection insurance for the UK banks and the money that they've had to put aside to pay for claims from their customers. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a hit for the whole industry, isn't it?
Well, there's another big scandal looming as well, which is the swaps insurance that was sold to small businesses that might be even bigger than the personal protection insurance scandal. When you hear so many layers upon layers of issues in the industry, it just shows it's not just a failure of the industry, it's a failure of the government's regulators, everybody involved. And there's a huge mess to sort out, and right now it cannot be left as it is. It's going to involve probably wholesale reconstruction of the industry.
Wow, a wholesale reconstruction of the industry as a result of a string of scandals. Chris Skinner, we thank you very much for being with us. Well, while Diamond comes under pressure to quit, another of Europe's most famous chief executives has already been shown the door. Jean-Bernard Lévy's 7-year tenure as head of Vivendi is over. Been feeling the heat from investors.
Well, the best way to tell that is really to look at the share price. I mean, Vivendi's share price is down 23% over the past